Okay, first up in this video, we're going to be looking at the spectrogram view in Audacity and what that actually is. So first we need to pick some files. I've just chosen the year 2016 and the GOES 13 satellite, and we have all of these different files for them. They're actually explained in your guide. But to start with, we'll use these be all files because they allow us to listen to all three components of the magnetic field. And I've used both of these. So we have this normal file like so, and the diff file, and you can see them up here. So the normal file are the top two channels, and the diff file is currently muted are these files here. Let's have a listen to the beginning of this. Okay, already we can see there's some interesting stuff going on. So let's just zoom into that and we can see these periods of waves. Now, unlike the noisy stuff, this actually sounds like it might have a well-defined frequency. And one of the things we can do to look at that is to use the spectrogram view in Audacity, which we can access just by going here. Let's actually look at that on both the normal file and the diff file, like so. And you can notice some differences. What we're actually seeing here on the left-hand side, this axis now depicts the frequency in the audio, and we still have the time like so. But we need to change the settings slightly to be a bit more appropriate to the use with the MUSICS data. So the way we can do that is to go into Edit, Preferences, Spectrograms, and let's change some of these settings here. So for instance, we can go to a logarithmic scale, and we'll set that to 20 to 20,000, which is the human hearing range. We'll reduce the gain, slightly reduce the range, and we'll set the window size to 1024. And hey presto, that's changed massively. These are now much easier to see, and we can actually see the difference between the normal files and the files that we've called the diff files. So whilst these normal files still tend to be sort of pink or red at the bottom and sort of greyish at the top, these ones are much more even. It seems like the colour scale has been flattened out so we can pick out the enhancements a bit better. That's exactly why I provided those files. They're much better for looking at the spectrograms. So when you're listening to your files, you can have open the normal file in waveform view and the diff file in spectrogram view. Make sure one of them is muted so they're not playing on top of one another, and use that to ask questions like, does this have a well-defined frequency? Like, for instance, these things appear to. First, we need to talk about how the spectrogram is actually worked out. Let's say we have some waves that look a bit like that. What the spectrogram does is first take a window of that data. Let's say the window goes from here to here. So therefore, we can rub out the stuff that's not contained within it. Now, because this could have some weird edge effects, I mean, we can certainly see that going on here, it applies a window function, something that looks a bit like that to the data. And so you end up getting something that looks a bit like that. So for each windowed bit of the data, it then tries to work out what the frequency is compared to that of, say, a perfect sine wave that also has that window applied. And so it can build up, as a function of frequency, what it thinks the amplitude of that sine wave would be, or equivalently the power, which is amplitude squared. And so that might give you something that looks like that. Essentially, we just do that for lots and lots of different windows. And taking the center of those in time, we can plot as a function of time and frequency what the power is and whether it's nice and narrow band and therefore got a well-defined frequency, or something that has stuff going on at lots of different frequencies. Okay, but what do these settings actually mean? If we put the gain back up to 20, That makes everything go much higher, so we don't want that. So the gain is a sort of amplification factor for the colours. The range just tells you what range of colours you want to look at. So if we went back up to 80, you'd see that's a lot more pink than when we had it at 60. But what about the window size? This is a really key quantity. If we go to the default of 256 and zoom right in like so, and then change that back to 1024, you can see the window size gives you your resolution in time and frequency. Longer windows allow you to pinpoint the frequency much better, but you know less about the time when it actually started. Whereas shorter windows will give you a lot of time resolution, but not great frequency resolution. There's no one size fits all. You should play around with this depending on what specific waves you've found. But I would suggest 1024 is a good starting point because 1024 samples corresponds to the lowest frequency that was extracted from the original data when turning it into audio. Okay, so now you know how to use the spectrogram tool when listening to the data. Please do use it. Okay, I hope all of that helped. There will be more how-to videos on this channel, so do make sure you subscribe to get stuff like that, and do ask questions in the comments below if you don't understand anything I said or you found something and you don't know what to do. I'm here to help.